Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Dr. Anna Marie Frank, welcome to the conversation today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from California. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about how our thoughts impact our happiness, our health, and the interconnectedness of all of these things. I think this is just so important. We spend so much of our time ruminating on all of the stuff, all of the baggage in our lives, all the stuff that's going on. We have good stuff, we got bad stuff. In my experience, people just spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of mental bandwidth, um, focusing on the negatives, focusing on the stuff that oftentimes is out of their control. Or the stuff that's from the past that they can't do anything about. And so, what can we do to focus on the positive? What can we do to empower ourselves to make the most of our current situation, to make the most of our future opportunities? These are some of the types of things we're going to explore together today. As we get started, I wanted to share Anne Marie's bio with everybody. Anne Marie is a doctor of traditional neuropathy with a PhD in natural medicine. She also has training from the Gerson Institute, Amen Clinics, Integrative Nutrition Institute, and Mind Valley Natural Wellness Institute, and the Wellness Council of America. She's a lifelong learner and continues to expand in the field of well-being. Anna Marie healed her brain after years of depression and challenges with dyslexia and ADD. She is the creator and owner of Happy Whole You, a brain health-focused wellness center located in Bakersfield, California. She is also the author of the self-improvement book, Stop Bullying Yourself, a guide to greater health, wealth, happiness, and success. There's a whole lot of other stuff I could talk about with your background, but I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to focus on before we launch on into the conversation?
I'm ready for this. I'm
All
here.
right. Well, very good. Very interesting background. As we were talking in the pre-interview, you were saying, 10 years ago, you never would have thought that you would be in this space, that you would be focusing on these sorts of things. So how did you find yourself in this space?
Well, I mean, I've been in wellness for over 20 years. I actually started at 18 years old. I couldn't wait for the moment I turned 18 because I wanted to get my group exercise certification.
Hmm.
Um, I got fired from Dairy Queen around 16 years old, which was the best thing that happened to me. And then I got a
I
job.
got fired from a job when I was 16 too. So
You did? Yeah, I mean, great lessons. And then I got a job at a hospital working in the rehab and wellness space. And I would sit there and I would work and clean the machines and I would see these women teaching exercise classes. And I thought, wow, they're so happy and they're moving. And so I started in the industry at the moment I turned 18. I signed up for a course to get trained. But interestingly enough, I didn't realize at the time I was struggling with depression. Back then, we didn't call it anything. It was just like, you just put your head down, you did the things. I was a
yeah.
good student, I had great parents, I was an athlete, and I went into college and still struggled with my mindset and got out of college. I thought, once I graduate, once I get a job, then I'll be happy. And then I found myself moving across the country, had the job, had the income, still wasn't happy. Went to a doctor's office and was put on 3 mind-altering medications in my early 20s that led me down a dark path. But then I found light at the end of that tunnel, and I started to realize that the only person that can make me happy is myself. And so then I set forth on a journey to see how naturally I could work on myself. And I thought, wow, if we can rewire computers, I could probably rewire my brain and
Hmm.
my way of thinking. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I stepped into this space. And then through that journey, I discovered energy medicine and Yeah, I'm all in with holistic healing and helping people. And I believe that healing comes from our mind and our brain first. And I always look at the emotions that play a role in creating dis-ease, which is a little bit different than what is out there. So that's it in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
interesting. Yeah. Well, and maybe you don't feel this way at this point. I feel strongly in, when we talk about holistic approaches to health, I feel strongly that there's a need for talk therapy. There's a need for medicinal approaches, depending on the need of the individual, right? There's naturalistic needs. So we have Western medicine, we have Eastern medicine, we have all these different approaches, right? And it depends on the individual, what they're dealing with, what their condition is. Um, I don't know if that's how you feel or what your experience has been.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, there's good in all, right? So in Western medicine, we do a fantastic job in emergency medicine and keeping people alive.
Hmm.
And we do a really poor job in preventative medicine and
Yeah.
keeping people healthy. And just through my own subjective feedback and working with people, like when it comes to putting people on mind-altering medications for their brain, when we say someone has a brain chemical imbalance, well, there's zero way to measure brain chemistry, but yet we're prescribing medications for quote unquote brain chemistry that we don't really know what's going on. So I'm not a big fan of putting people on medications for their brain. I think it's probably, this is my own feedback, less than 5% of people. But there are so many ways.
And I'll add, for people who do go on medications, it's trial and error, right?
No, it really is.
It
Like,
is,
I
yeah.
mean, and I'm saying this because I was in my early 20s, I was put on three mind-altering medications and I progressively got worse and worse. And I kept going back to my doctor, my psychiatrist, to tell him, oh, I need you to change my meds. They're not working. Well, what wasn't working was me. I wasn't getting enough sunshine. I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't having
Mm.
positive conversations. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was drinking alcohol. I was doing things that were not kind to my body. And my way of thinking was, I mean, for any of us when we're younger, we're like, if I only knew then what I know now. But our brain is so powerful. Anything we tell our brain is going to scan the world to validate what we're telling it, which can be a very amazing thing. It can be a very dangerous thing. You go to the workplace, if you're constantly telling yourself, my boss doesn't like me, you are going to filter every email, every interaction to validate that your boss doesn't like you because you've been telling yourself that. And
Yeah.
so this is a very tricky thing that if we can get in and rewire our mindset and start to filter the world for what we do want, life really starts to unfold for us and things around us start to get better. I always say when we change what's going on within us, things around us will start to change. The other aspect of the brain that is really important is our brain is only 2% of our body, but it
Mm.
utilizes up to 20 to 25% of all the oxygen, nutrients, everything we put in it. So if we're waking up first thing in the morning and we're having a bagel or we're having donuts, we're having a glass of orange juice, we are creating dis-ease in the body because we are spiking our blood sugar really, really high.
Mhm.
That's not good for the brain. Our brain, first thing in the morning, we need protein, we need some complex carbohydrates, and we need fat for our brains to fully function well. So it's really challenging when number one, we're telling our brain something that's negative, and then number two, we're filling our body with negative things. And then we wonder why 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years goes by and we're 40 pounds overweight. We're depressed. We're not happy. We're not sleeping well. We're gaining weight. And again, it comes back to what we're choosing to put into our bodies and how we're choosing to think and speak about our lives.
Well, yeah, and just to reiterate your point, all the medication in the world is not going to make up for other choices we're making in our life.
Yeah.
Like, are we abusing substances?
Yeah.
Are we exercising? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we in healthy relationships? Like there's all these different things that go together to make us a healthy person, and contribute to, how we interact with the world. And, in some cases, yes, medications can help and may be necessary, but they're not going to take care of those other things, right?
No, no.
And so, yeah, absolutely. To your point, let's take a holistic approach to our health, and let's make sure that we're understanding everything that goes into our well-being.
Yeah.
And the whole reason why talk therapy is so helpful is because it gives you tools to
Hmm.
kind of rewire the way you process, give you new paradigms and new ways to kind of rethink the way you take in information,
Yeah.
so you can challenge, the way you normally process, and you can stop and you can say, wait a minute, I don't have to interpret things this way. I can disrupt an unhealthy um, an unhealthy process, and I can reinterpret, and I can actually shift, and I can see myself in the unhealthy way I've done things in the past, and
Yeah.
make a choice. And that's that's powerful when we start to recognize that we have that strength within
Yeah.
ourselves to make that kind of a shift.
Yes. And here's the thing. If we can re-envision our future, we can re-envision our past. What I mean by that is we can shift the meaning we're giving our past. We can shift the meaning we're giving our past struggles. And when we do that versus taking, I always say, let's leave the emotions from the past in the past and just take the lessons in our to our current moment and bring those lessons into our future. It can be really, really helpful to do that type of exercise. Um, and the other aspect that I think we all have to pay attention to is think of your body and your brain as a smartphone.
Hmm.
We are constantly downloading information into our being every single day. Like the food you eat is an app. So the food that you're taking in is going to download information in the body. It's going to say, cell healthy cells duplicate, keep doing your thing. And, we're going to protect these bad cells from duplicating and trying to expand. If you are moving your body and exercising, that is downloading information. That's sending off a cascade of feel good hormones to make you feel energized and to make you feel good. If you are sleeping well, your body's like, it is safe to repair. It is safe for me to rejuvenate. I'm not stressed. And so you're getting good sleep. When you're having conversations that are of, what's possible and in a positive conversation, in a positive light, that actually creates more serotonin and dopamine in the body, that is going to make you feel good and it's going to give you that mood stabilization that you need. So if we started to pay attention to everything we're doing is downloading information into our being, we have to pay attention to that because you don't want to download negative things. You don't want to download viruses. And
Yeah.
so if we just became more and more, aware of what we're looking at, what we're listening to, it's a very powerful place when you're paying attention to all your senses and what you're choosing to bring into your life.
I think one of the reasons why we don't do this is because, one, we're creatures of habit. Two, we tend to be lazy. Um, and
Yeah,
and three, people don't necessarily always like what they see when they hold the mirror up in front of them, right?
yeah.
So if we're paying that close of attention to what taking in, what we're listening to, what we're watching, who we're interacting with, our relationships, all these sorts of things, you know, we're not always going to like what we see. And then if we realize something isn't good for us, guess what? Then we have to choose if we're going to make a change, and change is uncomfortable and often hard. And we don't like change. So
Yeah.
like how do we get past that? So we recognize, anyone listening or watching is going to say, yeah, I need to do these things. I want to be healthier. I want to be mentally healthier. I want to be physically healthier. I want to be happy. I want to be productive. I want to take ownership over my life in my career. I want to be successful at work and at home. I think everyone wants that. Yet we don't do it. We
Yes.
fall back into our old habits. We fall back into our destructive habits and relationships, and we do it over and over and over again, right?
Yeah. That's why my company is called Happy Whole You. I believe we all want to be happy. And in order to be happy, we must be whole, which means we have to work on all areas of our life. But that choice is up to you. So I always talk to my clients about pick your hard. It's hard to be overweight and not have energy to play with your kids or your grandkids, to get up and down from the floor. That's hard. It's also hard to wake up at 5:30, put your sneakers on, go take a walk around the block, do some deep breathing, maybe do some push-ups, and to move your body. So we get to pick our hard. And the other thing is we get to choose to start small and habit stack. So we build a small habit on top of another. So I would just say if anyone's looking to start with some like, okay, I want to make some changes. Okay, let's not eat the whole thing at once.
Yeah, yeah.
So the reality is it's small changes over time that are going to yield us the greatest results. Think of compound interest. So if we just start with the little window of the first 30 minutes that you wake up, maybe you're the person that chooses to hit the alarm clock over and over and over again. What's possible if you chose to hit the alarm clock and you put your feet on the ground and you stand up and you smile and you say, I'm going to have a great day. And you just do that like week one. Every day when your alarm clock goes off, your goal 7 days in a row, that alarm clock goes off, you're just getting up and you're just smiling. And then maybe week two, I call this the 52-week add-in method. I have a little calendar. I can email it. You guys can download it and print it. But then week two, we choose, okay, not only am I hitting the alarm clock, standing up, and I'm smiling, I'm going to reach my hands above my head and I'm going to touch my toes. And then from there, week three, you add something else. Now you're getting out of bed first thing, you're reaching your hands above your head, you're touching your toes, and then maybe you are going to the mirror and you're saying an affirmation. I'm going to have a fantastic day. I choose health. I choose well-being. I choose to step into the person I am meant to be. I am safe. All is well. And so you just keep adding. And I always like to start with one time. If maybe you don't want to start with the morning, maybe it's your night routine, right? Or maybe it's your lunch routine. Instead of staying in front of your desk and working, right? Nobody's getting a gold medal for that, by the way. It's really actually healthy to just stand up, go outside, maybe get 2 minutes of sunlight. And if you're used to working through your lunch, I'm just asking you to go outside, get 2 minutes of sunlight, and then come back in, go back to work. And then do that for a week. And then the next week, you're going outside, you're getting your 2 minutes, and now you're going to do 10 push-ups at your desk before you sit back down to work through lunch because you feel like you have to work through lunch.
Hmm.
So it's starting small and building off of there because then what you're going to do is you're going to start creating what's called new neural pathways. So if you're somebody that works through lunch, you have a neuro association that you have to work through lunch, that you have to get this done, and you probably meet that with a physical emotional response of stress. So if we start to interrupt the emotions and the actions with a new action and choosing to feel a new emotion, we start to cement in a new neural network, which is really, really powerful. And so once we start doing that, we can actually begin to repeat good behavior and repeat change because it becomes rewarding anytime we create that emotion with that new action. So we need an emotion and an action, and we need to tie it together to really cement something in.
I like that. And what I love about it is the simplicity of just doing a little bit here and there, simple little things. Another way to think about it is kind of the old adage of just trying to be like 5% better.
Yeah, I love that.
That 1% or that
Yeah,
5% better, trying to be a new person, trying to be 100% better. That's too big. That we
yeah,
can't bite that off
yeah,
all at once. It's like when people set a New Year's resolution, you know, to go to the gym every morning for an hour. It's not going to happen.
yeah,
You're not
yeah,
going to do it. You're not going to go from 0 to 60
yeah,
overnight. And most people, anyways. I suppose some people could, but most people don't. And that's why most New Year's resolutions, fall off within the first 2 weeks.
yeah,
And so, taking bite-sized chunks and just thinking, how can I just be a little bit better today? Um, you know, getting out of bed, putting your feet on the floor, like you said, stretching, just adding that additive process. If you think about it, just doing that little bit more each week
Yeah, it's huge.
over the course of 52 weeks, that
Yes,
is
it's
tremendous.
that's
And then
52 new habits in a year.
yeah, the new habits that you've acquired over that year, and then think about 5 years, 10 years.
Mhm.
You are an entirely new person in
Yeah.
10 years than you were,
Yeah,
10 years ago. You're an entirely different, incredibly healthy person.
yeah,
Like that's incredible
it
to
really is.
even try to wrap my mind around. And I think about it not just, in terms of like these things that you might do at home, but think about it at work. Think about it in terms of your workplace habits. Think about it in any aspect of your life.
Mhm.
It's incredibly powerful. And it doesn't need to be huge. It really can just be these little things that you do. And people get so overwhelmed
Yeah.
because life is busy and things are getting thrown at you constantly. But
Well,
it just needs, it's just little things.
yeah, and I think people get overwhelmed is because they're trying to make changes based on their past mindset, is what
Yeah.
ends up happening. I go into a lot of companies and I do a workshop. It's called the 6-step success rewire method. And it all comes back to rewiring the way we think and speak about our life, which will help change the lens in which we see the world, in which we see our coworkers, we see the workplace. And when we go in and we do this rewiring, one step of that rewiring is we look at our goals. And the goals that we have must be in alignment with our true authentic selves, or else we're not going to stick it out. So when you were talking about New Year's resolutions, what happens is most often people can make goals for the new year based on what society says they should look
Yeah.
like, they should
What they
do, they
think
should
they should
feel
be
like.
doing.
Yes. When if we take a step back and we really align with something you truly want, like going deep and like, what do I really, really want? Most people aren't asking themselves that. And then you bake your goals based on that. Because if you can ask yourself this question, when I'm 80 years old, will I regret doing this or will I regret not doing this? And that is a powerful question because there are so many people out there living their life on the sidelines. They are not getting in the game, they are not playing full out. And we are missing their greatness, their genius in life. There are so many people in so many workspaces that are playing small, that are not speaking up, that are not stepping in and doing the thing. Maybe they just want to start a walking group at work, right? Or maybe they have this genius idea that they're like, I just want to share this, but I can't because I'm here on the totem pole or whatever. Like
Yeah.
we need to start stepping up and stepping out and sharing our geniuses because everybody has one, but most people are not stepping into their genius because every goal that they've set is based on what parents said, society said, their spouses said or whatever. So it's really getting people in the mindset, the whole organization and the mindset of rewiring in the lens in which you're showing up to work, you're showing up for your life, what you're doing, how you're speaking, how you're thinking. And it is a powerful place to be.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has just been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate all of your insights, all the wisdom. We've only scratched the surface. There's so much more, but that's why you have all these great resources you can share with the audience. As we start to wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, where they can find those resources, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Yeah. So you can go personally. I have a drannamarie.com. So that is my speaking and workshop site. We also, if you ever want to check out our brick and mortar, if you're around Bakersfield, California, we get people that travel all over that come to our wellness center. That's happywholeyou.com. We're also on Instagram as well. I'm on LinkedIn. And yeah, we also have the Happy Whole You podcast where we deliver some health and wellness tips and mindset tips just for overall well-being. And that's where you can find me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna Marie. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Anna Marie and her team can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.